Ever wish you could just draw a symbol and poof, make something happen?
Like magic.
Yeah, like magic. Well, that's kind of the idea behind sigil magic.
Sounds interesting.
It is. And we're delving into it today using this book, Practical Sigil Magic by Frater U.D.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one. It's supposed to be a really practical guide.
Definitely. And it's a system developed by a guy named Austin Osman Spare.
Now, he's a really interesting figure, isn't he? Not your typical occultist.
Right. He was an artist, actually. Early 20th century.
And he was really into philosophy and Eastern thought, people like Lao Tzu and Max Stirner. So that really influenced his approach to magic.
Yeah, he wasn't so much into the traditional stuff. He actually rejected ready-made symbols.
He thought the real power came from creating your own. It's all about personalizing it, channeling your own desires.
So let's say I have this burning desire to learn to play guitar.
Okay.
How would I turn that into a sigil using this word method?
Well, the first step is to turn that desire into a clear statement.
So something like, my will is to master the guitar.
Yeah, exactly. And then you would condense that statement, remove any repeating letters.
So we'd get MYWLTGUIR.
Right.
Okay, so I've got this jumble of letters. Now what? Do I make it look all pretty?
Well, actually, Spare thought it was better to make the glyphs kind of ugly or primitive.
Ugly. Well, why?
He thought that by going against our normal sense of aesthetics, we could sort of bypass the conscious mind and, tap into those deeper levels where the real magic happens.
So our subconscious speaks a different visual language.
Yeah.
Like a polished symbol would get stuck in the spam folder.
Ah, I like that. That's a great analogy.
So I've got my ugly sigil. How do I actually activate it, make it work?
This is where it gets really interesting. Spare believed that after you create a sigil, you have to forget about it.
Wait, what? Seriously? Why would I forget about the thing I'm trying to manifest?
Because he thought that by holding on to that desire too tightly in your conscious mind, you actually block it from happening.
Oh.
It's more about letting go. Letting the sigil work on a subconscious level, like planting a seed and just letting it grow.
But forgetting can't just be trying not to think about it right.
No. Spare suggested things like intense focus during heightened emotional states. He even had this technique he called the death posture.
The death posture. Okay, now I have to know more about this. Why something so intense?
Well, it kind of shows how serious he was about this whole thing. He wasn't afraid to push boundaries.
It wasn't just some hobby for him.
No, he was totally committed to tapping into those primal energies.
So there's more to this than making pretty pictures.
Absolutely. And another interesting thing about his system is that it's not one size fits all. He was all about experimentation, finding what worked for you.
So it's more about finding your own language of magic than following a set of rules?
That's it. He even said there are no correct or incorrect sigils.
But that makes it both empowering and daunting, right?
Yeah, totally. It's like he's giving us a map, but we have to figure out our own path.
Through this uncharted territory of the subconscious. Okay, so it's already blowing my mind, but how does it actually work? Is there a scientific explanation?
That's the million-dollar question. Even experts don't fully understand. But one guy named Sherwin came up with this model that suggests there's something like a sensor between the conscious and unconscious mind.
So like a bouncer at a club deciding which thoughts get in.
Exactly.
So Spare was basically saying, you got to sneak past the bouncer.
He believed by tapping into those primal energies, we could shape reality. Pretty powerful stuff.
So it's not just drawing symbols, it's tapping into a hidden power within us.
Exactly. And this leads to one of his most complex ideas, the alphabet of desire. Like a whole language of glyphs representing fundamental human desires.
Whoa, hold on. That's a lot to take in.
I know, right?
I'm moving fast.
Take your time. It's a lot to absorb. Spare's ideas, they're dense, but really rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. It's a lot. Spare was intense, but worth it.
Okay. Alphabet of desire sounds like fantasy novel stuff.
It does, right?
Yeah.
But basically 22 glyphs he came up with.
Okay.
And each one symbolizes a core human desire. It's a way to understand what makes us tick,
So it's more than just pretty symbol.
Oh, yeah. Way more. It's a map of our inner world. You see how we're all connected. Like Spare is saying, look, forget all the complicated stuff of life.
Yeah.
There are these basic drives we all have since forever ago,
I mean, that's kind of humbling when you put it like that.
It is, right? Are we really that unique?
Yeah.
Or are we just kind of riffing on the same themes? He thought there's this deeper language of desire that goes beyond culture and stuff.
Okay, yeah, need a minute to think about that. So how's this alphabet actually used in sigil magic?
Good question. He thought you could use these glyphs as a starting point when you make your sigils.
Okay.
Like it's a vocabulary to make your own magic, you know?
So you're combining these ancient pieces, but making something new and personal.
Exactly. Which brings us to another cool thing, planetary Kameas. These are, well, basically magic squares.
Magic squares. Oh no, math class flashbacks.
Yeah, it can get a little technical, but basically it's grids with numbers in them
Okay.
in special patterns. And Spare thought these had power tied to different planets and energies.
So like the right tool for the job, depending what you want to do.
Precisely. He thought they made sigils even stronger, you know?
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Mm.
But with all this talk of energies and planets, I gotta ask,
Yeah.
how much of this did Spare actually believe? Was this like real for him or was it more like art?
Tough one. He was a complex guy. You know?
Sure.
He wrote a ton about magic, his experiences, but he always said personal meaning is important.
So less dogma, more like, here's a direction, go explore.
Yeah. He even said all systems are arbitrary, so the power is not in the method, but you and what you believe.
I mean, that's kind of empowering.
Right. It's like, here's some tools, go make your magic.
But also hard to know, like, what he really thought versus him being an artist pushing buttons, you know?
Absolutely. And that's part of the fun, makes you think critically,
Yeah.
question what you assume,
Bro,
explore for yourself.
Like he just threw out all these ideas and was like, go play, see what happens.
Yeah. And that playfulness, it's important, right? When you're dealing with something as powerful as, you know, potentially sigil magic.
Speaking of powerful, what kind of results did Spare actually get? Like any success stories?
He did write about some crazy stuff, like making objects appear, changing events in his life.
Wow.
But he also warned against getting too fixated on results.
Oh.
He said the real power's in the journey, how it changes you.
So it's not just about getting stuff,
Mhm.
but the growth along the way.
That's it, tapping into your potential,
Yeah.
what you're truly capable of.
Okay, gotta admit, this is all exciting.
Yeah.
Subconscious power, hidden potential, but
Yeah.
is it safe? Could you mess something up with sigil magic?
Yeah.
Like unleash something bad?
A valid question. Even Spare knew it could be risky. He said, never use it to hurt people.
Right.
It's about ethics, respecting this power.
So not something to be taken lightly?
No, it's like any tool, right?
Right.
Can be used for good or bad.
Mm.
So you got to approach it carefully, you know? Be self-aware.
Not just doodle and hope for the best.
Exactly. You got to understand what you're messing with. Be responsible for the outcome.
Which brings us back to forgetting the sigil, right? Once it's done.
Oh, yeah. It's not about obsessing over the result, but trusting the process.
So kind of like surrendering control, letting the subconscious work.
Exactly. And that can be really freeing, you know, in a world where we're always trying to be in control.
Like taking a deep breath and saying, universe, I trust you, go for it.
You got it. That surrender is powerful.
This is a lot, but man, it's fascinating. We've talked about what? History, techniques, philosophy, even the ethical stuff.
It's a lot.
But I feel like we're just scratching the surface. What is sigil magic, really?
We are just getting started, and that's what's cool, right? There's always more to explore, discover. Spare's work is like a doorway to a whole new way of thinking about ourselves, the world, everything.
Okay, I'm in. Where do we go from here?
So many places we could go from here. We've been focused on the word method, right? But there are others.
Right, like the pictorial method and that mantrical spell method. Right, those were in the book too.
Yeah. It's like Spare wanted to give people all these different tools to try.
Yeah, like a whole toolbox. So the pictorial method, that's about using images instead of words for the sigil.
That's right. And the mantrical spell method that uses sounds, chanting.
So you can kind of pick what speaks to you.
Yeah.
Visual, sounds.
Exactly. He thought the best way is whatever works best for your subconscious.
This is all so cool. But I gotta admit, part of me is still like, wait, what is sigil magic, you know?
I get it. It's kind of on this line between psychology and, well, magic, right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not just about, like, forces out there, but also the power in your mind.
Such a good point. And I think that's why people are still into Spare today.
Mm.
It's magic, but it's also about, like, what's going on inside us.
It's self-discovery, transformation, not just spells and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes it powerful. It's about, like, unlocking something that's already there.
You know, when we were talking about who Spare liked earlier, Lao Tse and all,
Yeah.
it made me think there's this connection to Eastern ideas,
Mm.
right? About awareness, going deeper.
Totally. Like in a lot of Eastern traditions, stillness is important, meditation.
Right.
And that kind of matches up with Spare saying bypass the conscious mind, get to the subconscious.
So even though he was doing Western magic stuff,
yeah,
he's using these ideas that are kind of universal.
For sure. It shows you these ideas, they're timeless, you know, it doesn't matter where you're from.
Okay, before we wrap up, remember that atavistic nostalgia thing?
Oh, yeah. That was a weird one. The longing for the primal past.
Right. Spare said by tapping into that, we get this raw power.
He even talked about making sigils with animal energies, like the strength of a tiger or how sneaky a fox is.
It's like deep down, we still want to be kind of wild.
Maybe. It makes you wonder, if we embrace that more, what could we do?
Wow. Okay, this has been mind-blowing. It's like Spare is a key to this hidden world of power, symbols.
Right.
And we can shape things with our will.
It's exciting. But even if you don't buy all of it, it makes you think differently.
Yeah.
About reality, about what our minds can do.
There's so much we don't know.
Absolutely. And it's not about having all the answers, but like asking good questions.
Well, I think we've given everyone a lot to think about today.
Right.
Sigil magic is, well, it's complicated.
It is.
But it shows you what the human mind is capable of, maybe.
So much possibility. And I'll leave you with this thought. Even if you don't do sigil magic, Spare reminds us.
Yeah.
It's about what we believe, our intentions, and how we're connected to something bigger.
Powerful stuff. So, to everyone listening, if this got you curious about sigil magic, keep exploring, trying things out, and most importantly, believe in the magic of what's possible.
Until next time, happy delving.